This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with that prize guy. I am delighted to be joined. This is secretly our second time doing this. Obviously, we have previously done an interview on Saturday. Unfortunately, with some Zoom issues where it wasn't picking up the audio and video at the same time. So, fingers crossed, second time around, we're going to get this right. But delighted to be joined by the other half of the main event on the 2nd of August in Belfast. Luke Pearson, how are you?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
I am fantastic. We've already got this secret recording that's never going to see the light of day because of the speech and the problems we had with Zoom. So I sort of already have an understanding. Hopefully we can make it as good the second time around as the first one was. But like for you, look, in just over 8 weeks' time, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Probably an opportunity for you in some ways. It's coming earlier than you would have expected, but an opportunity when it comes, you're going to grasp it with both hands.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you're right. It's an opportunity I didn't expect, but it's an opportunity, I'm going to take in my stride and show what I'm about and prove to people that, I'm up there and ready for this level of fighting.
Like it's been probably a frustrating time for you this last year. So obviously fights, um, you've obviously tried to get fights. You've obviously tried to get fights, and they just haven't happened. Um, talk to me obviously how the last year sort of been frustrating ways for you, sort of not getting fights.
Yeah, it's been hard. We had a good fight at the beginning of last year, and I really wanted to push on. And I got an opportunity to fight for the Commonwealth silver, and that fell through three times. The fight was made three times, and the opponents fell through every time. So it was very frustrating. Um, but there's always something better around the corner, and that's turned up now, and I'm ready to go.
Like what you're saying, if it's frustrating, obviously, does it get you questioning obviously your future in the sport? Like whenever you have because let's face it, in boxing sometimes you have to rely on sponsors. You obviously have to rely on time away from work and everything else like that. When fights are falling through and everything else, like does it get you questioning obviously your boxing career on how tough things can be?
Yeah, of course. But I've always had a dream and an ambition to fight at the top level and at the best level I can. And that's still an ambition of mine. It's still, a focus of mine, and I want to do that. So that really helped me push on and helped me, stay focused and kept working hard at what I'm doing.
And like, speak to me obviously about you're 10-0 obviously as a pro so far. Obviously, you're unbeaten. Obviously, like prior to obviously a professional boxing career, like what sort of experience do you have at boxing? Like, were you an amateur? Where did you come from to the professional scene?
I never had any amateurs. I came from the unlicensed scene. Um, I had 16 unlicensed. Um, Lost one, won the rest. And then turned pro. And I think that's put me in good stead because it's given me the fundamentals of being able to set my feet, not being too bouncy, not having to change too much from the amateur style to the pro style.
And like, amateur experience sometimes, or even like your unlicensed, obviously things works in the same way as a double amateur boxing, like amateur boxing, professional boxing are completely different sports. So in some ways, like you don't have a lot of years of experience of being an amateur, and like professional coaches obviously having to change a lot of things about you. Like you were sort of an honor sort of gem sort of to him, and the fact that there probably wasn't a lot for people to change and you turn them professional.
No, not a lot. It was just more, you know, l- learning tricks of the trade and just learning little bits and pieces and picking up things as I've been going along. And just really, the fundamentals were there. Setting the feet was there, not being too bouncy. All that was there. So when I turned pro, it weren't too much of a transition.
And like, I guess when that phone call, like talk to me obviously when that phone call came, they sort of say that you're going to fight for the European silver title. Obviously, it's the second sort of stage, the full European title. Sort of like when that phone call came, from obviously your management and stuff like that, they say a fight in Belfast against Colin Murphy for the EBU silver title. Were you sort of going, were you checking your phone and checking your watch and things like that to make sure it wasn't April Fool's Day?
And no, not really. I've been wanting big fights for the last year or so. So when it came along, I just, you take the opportunity with both hands, and I'm ready for this. It's what I've been waiting for the last year. So, you know, there was no way it was going to be turned down. And, I'm 100% ready and 100% focused and ready to do the job on the night.
And is this going to be your first time main event in the card as well?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
So you're breaking new boundaries there in some ways. Like you're getting to fight for your first title. Your main event, and obviously I don't know obviously what TV and stuff like that's about yet for obviously your fans and things back home. But main event and obviously a card away from home in Belfast. Like you're ticking off a lot of boxes here.
Yeah, 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 exactly. To be able to fight, away from home for a title on the big stage, it's a big stage, you know. It's everything you want as a fighter. You want to be on them big nights. You want to show that you're at the level that you're fighting at. And this is just the way for me to show that.
And like away soil as well. Like you probably couldn't look at it as a better way. Like sometimes you don't want the obviously to win a title and they win it easy, you know. So obviously fighting away from home, fighting in Belfast, probably a raucous crowd in some ways because obviously they'll be cheering for the home support, but Belfast fight fans always appreciate good fighters and things like that. So if you get booed coming into the ring, you know, they always say a lot of the time you get cheered coming out. So, you know, like these are all wee things that you've geared up to. It's whenever you thought of fighting for your first title, it's probably the perfect scenario you probably have in your head.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, you can't always have it your own way. When you go to like I'm coming out to Ireland to fight. They don't know me, but by the end of the night, they would have heard of me, and they would know what I'm about and what I'm capable of. And that's boxing. People only get to know your name by you putting on good performances and performing in front of different crowds. So.
And like, what do you know, obviously, of your opponent, Colin Murphy? Obviously, he's in the home corner in the night. Have you watched much of him? Like, do you leave that down to coaches? Like, how much preparation sort of will you do looking at Colin Murphy?
Um, not a lot. My trainer does all the looking over the videos and different tactics and different things that we're gonna do, and it sets the game plan. And I put my faith in that game plan, and that's what we're gonna go with on the night.
I guess you'll always, obviously, on social media and things like that, you'll always have a wee look to see. Like, I guess people look at people's other inspiration. You know, obviously, you'll look maybe at a wee Instagram post or something that comes, put a fight or something like that, and you'll probably try and picture yourself inside his mind and what he's thinking.
Yeah, you're always trying to see what they're up to. Understand how hard they're pushing, and see who they've fought and different stuff like that. So you can gauge sort of what level they've been at and what level of opponent they've had. But he's a good fighter. He's strong. He's tough. You know, and we're gonna make a good show of it on the 2nd of August. There's gonna be fireworks.
And like a win, obviously here, you know, for you or for Colin, obviously is massive. At the fact that it could tie you up for a European title. Like, they think of the year or so you've had out of the ring, they then been in a mandatory position potentially for the European title. Like, you nearly sort of still be going, are we still in a dream here? What's going on? Like, you know, they be bypassing obviously the British level and things like that. They then fight for a European title. Like, it's the stuff of dreams for either of you.
Of course, definitely. It's a massive step in the direction that we both want to go in. We both want to win titles and go as far as we can. But for now, it's for me especially. There's 8 weeks. I'm only focusing on that 8 weeks. I'm not looking ahead of that or past that. I've got a job to do on the 2nd of August, and that's what I will do.
Would a win surpass obviously your dreams of what you know, particularly not having amateur experience of coming from the white collar sort of scene? Like, would winning this title surpass the dreams that you had of turning pro?
Yeah, yeah, possibly, yeah. I always set out to fight for a British title, or try and just fight for one, not necessarily win it, but fight for one. So it would put me up there at the sort of level that I expected to be at myself, and that I knew that I was capable of. So yeah, it's past British level. So yeah.
Yeah, it gets you in a really good position. Like, obviously, you could get to the stage where you could win this European silver title, and you could get on the big cards like a Frank Warren card, a Matchroom card, even a Saudi Arabia card. Like we never know, obviously how opportunities can come about. Like the world's your oyster, but as you say, you can only focus on Colin Murphy in 8 weeks' time and what you have to do.
Exactly. I've got to focus on the job that's at hand. Um, if I start thinking elsewhere and thinking, oh, what could be after that, you're not 100% focused on what you've got to do in there. And I can only take each fight as it comes. So I'm 100% focused on Cole Murphy, and we'll see what happens on that night, and then we'll go from there.
You have a nickname, Lucky Luke Pearson. You're called. Like, I'm always intrigued by nicknames. Where does the Lucky come from?
Oh, it's just um, I suppose it's just a thing that my missus came up with. I've had over the course of me boxing, I've had a few nicknames, but I think Lucky Luke suits. You've got to have luck in this sport. You've got to have, you know, to get to anywhere in the sport. You've got to have luck to have sponsors. You've got to have luck to get the fights and stuff. So I think the name sort of works.
Yeah, we see so many different names. Like, did you say you've had other names in the past? What other nicknames have you had?
I've had the Hand of Godstone. Um, I've had Pocket Rocket. Yeah, I've had a few.
Like it always seems to be like, it's maybe friends and family and stuff like that at watching you go, you remind me of a certain fighter, like the Pocket Rocket. I would record of Wayne McCulloch. Obviously he's another Belfast fighting legend. Like
Exactly.
people see nicknames sometimes and you don't want to steal a nickname because then people have them comparisons of someone else. But I can't think of another fighter with a nickname Lucky. So maybe that's the first one that's there.
Well, hopefully I can give it a good. Everyone will know the name Lucky Luke after this fight. So
Yeah, definitely. And it might inspire someone else to use a name in the future. Um, who would you sort of, growing up through the years and things like that, who would you sort of look as your role models sort of in the sport that inspired you to become a boxer?
boxing wise, I'd say Kevin Mitchell, Josh Warrington. Um, they were the two sort of styles that I liked growing up and watching boxing. So probably them two style of fighters.
And like current sort of day, do you still sort of look at other fighters as an inspiration, as a role model? They keep achieving what you want to achieve in the sport?
Um, not really as much anymore. More, it's just me trying to push myself to be the best I can now. I've adopted a certain style of fighting through watching the people that I enjoyed watching as a youngster. So it's just adapting that style and trying to make that style work the best it can for me.
And what type of fighter would you sort of say that you are? I guess sometimes it's probably easier for somebody else to say what type of fighter you are because you're never going to think of what type of fighter you are yourself. But like, what type of fighter can people expect on the 2nd of August from yourself?
Uh, I'm not really sure, but I'm a unique fighter. I'm awkward. Um, I can mix it up. I can switch stance. I can do a bit of everything. So um, yeah, I suppose they can look forward to seeing a bit of everything done in the ring on the night.
And I'm guessing, obviously, you're coming away to an away territory, obviously, as the away fighter in the night. Are you bringing much of a crowd across with you?
Yeah, I'll be bringing a fair few across, hopefully, and it'll be a good night. The crowd's going to be loud, and some's going to be against me, some's going to be for me, and it's just part of being part of a big event and a big show. Um, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a great night.
Definitely. Well, look, obviously, it's great. I was going to say it's great to finally get a talk with you, but obviously, we've done it twice now. It looks to be all going well. Fingers crossed that this one seems to be fine. It's going to pair up well when I'm putting it up. But look, obviously, enjoy your next seven or so weeks of camp left, and we'll obviously see you on Fight Week in Belfast.
You will do. Thank you.
Cheers, look, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.